Hey everybody, Ryan FMG here, and today we will be watching some replays from the Thirsty Games tournament that he hosted that was just a couple days ago on Saturday. It was units only. Most of you probably have heard about this because I streamed about it and I talked about it, made some videos in the past, but I participated in it and it was a lot of fun, and I'm happy that their Thirsty Games ran it, and it ran very smoothly and it was fun to partake in it. So this week, each video will be one round of the tournament. I won't say how good or bad I did since it is single elimination. The first time you lost, you were out. Each round was best out of 3, and you had to submit 4 decks, but you really only got to play with 3 decks each round because you and your opponent both got to ban 1 deck. So today on this video, I'll talk about the decks really quick, and then we'll jump into round 1 and kind of replay it, see the good plays, see the bad plays, and just kind of chat about it. First up is the Ryu Hadoken list that I submitted. This list, I believe I did a video a couple weeks ago, but I did tweak some numbers around, and yet again, this is just a good old-fashioned Ryu Hadoken value, with most of your units having enter the battlefield trigger effects, or death effects, or something like that, just to try to get 2-for-1s, and then they stay on the board and poke in for some damage. And overall, I really liked this list, and I thought this list was very powerful. Next up is my Chun-Li Yawn deck. This is another deck that I really liked, and this was actually one of my favorite decks, and I thought green was very good for this format because you got to play a lot of the good, solid MP ramp units like Feline, Layer, as well as Iris, and then you just got to do big, heavy hitters like the Tank and Rainy, and then a lot of legendaries that are great, you know, just across the board like Diablo or Karen. And especially Felicia, right? When it's all units all the time, Felicia just becomes more of a powerhouse, as well as the dragon, because there's so many units to bounce with the dragon. So overall, I really like this list. Yes, you did have to play some not so good units, like, you know, you see one Blaze. I didn't really like this, but it was kind of the best thing I could think of at the time. It was like, it's fine, it's a curve, it's a row filler. But overall, I really valued green very heavily in this tournament, and actually each of my rounds, I banned the green deck from my opponents because I thought my decks would have a hard time against the green decks, right? Like Ryu usually has a hard time against a lot of the green decks just because a lot of the green units have big, healthy life totals. Next up is the purple deck. I did 0 fight against inner demons because I noticed some other players when I was practicing was doing fight against inner demons, and every time I played against them, fight seemed very good because, hey, if you get the removal spell, great, you get to remove something. If you get the pump spell, well, you are playing a lot of units, so you do get the pump spell, because when I first was testing for this tournament, I thought maybe Shadowblade would be very good. And yes, Shadowblade was good, but Fight just seemed much more effective all around. So I, like a lot of the other players, did Fight against Inner Demons. And yet again, this is kind of like a 3.5 Morgan list, right? With a lot of the good 3-drop value units, as well as then the 4-drop value units. That Lupo is great because she is so big on a board of sometimes small units, and then of course 4 Eyes is always just so efficient when you get to steal something. And then you'll notice I have a playset of Tyrex because, one, you're not really playing that many actions. Yes, your hero power does give you an action, so you can silence or seal it in response, but that's okay because spillover is so good. Kind of like what you saw in my green deck, I played a lot of spillover cards, and that's another reason why I valued green so much. Last but definitely not least is my Nergigante Spike Launch list. I, a lot of the times, was messing around with Dark Destruction or Raging Demon lists because that's like, oh, removal and that. But it's like, hey, why not just play all the efficient units that have you lose life so that you get a removal spell like Spike Launch, which can be very powerful, and then you get these big beefy units. And at first it's like, okay, well, you can't play with Selfless Predation, and you know, Spike Launch usually likes Selfless Predation because you kind of want to gain back some of that life. But this is where Gore Monster is fantastic because this is a big unit, it has spillover, and it gains you life. And as soon as I started playing with this list, I really started liking this list a lot. Okay, so that's a little brief description about all my decks. So first up, I was playing against Izzy, and like I said, I just banned his green deck. I kind of don't remember if it was Chun-Li or Nero, but I just banned it because I thought green was very good, just period, like in a vacuum, but especially against my decks. So I just banned his green deck, and then he banned my Nergigante list. And I was kind of a little sad about that because I really wanted to play Nergigante, but it's like, okay, that's fine, let's play. So I decided to start with Ryu because I thought Izzy would be doing Jill first, just because a lot of players, like myself, were really valuing the red decks, and he did, and I thought Ryu had a little leg up on Jill, so that's why I started with Ryu. And also just because no matter what he played, I thought Ryu was just a good call because I think Ryu is one of the better decks. So this is a good trade, right? We got to kill their flyer agility with BB Hood. Always a solid trade. Now we're just kind of netting some MP, see what they do, and then we could drop, you know, a Rashid or a monster or even a Ryu, something like that. It's nice because we're getting some chip damage, so life totals are even. Still just that. So I decided to play the Rashid because it's like, okay, they're not doing anything, and we still have like enough MP to play a monster to get, you know, 3 damage plus the Rashid trigger. Hellbat is obviously very, very good. And of note, they are playing Genesis, so they can keep... Oh, no, sorry. They are playing Antibody Activation. Some players will play Genesis, but they are playing Antibody Activation, so that means they can't just keep getting their detonations over and over and over again. Which, Antibody Activation definitely becomes very threatening, because that means I kind of want to kill anything that looks threatening right off the bat, so they can't, you know, shield it up and pump it up with Antibody Activation.
But I'm still in it.
That was a little slow on my part because I used the Hadoken. Obviously, their unit was a 1/8, so it did need to hit once, but it hit twice. So I don't think that that was great value on my part with my Hadoken. So a little hiccup on my part for sure. And yet again, another hiccup is I should have played like a BB Hood or something. I'm not sure what I was really thinking, because now if I play BB Hood, they couldn't use Antibody Activation, and I was just chilling there, you know. And I even like had a couple seconds where I wasn't playing anything and I wasn't netting any MP, and so I was just kind of chilling there doing nothing. Sure, now I have a board, but I definitely just like my brain froze, right? And that's very detrimental in any match of Teppen. And yet again, there, like, I could have played that BB Hood. That's very slow reaction. And just taking a little bit. Yes, I'm ahead, but I shouldn't be making these mistakes, right? I want to finish the game. I'm ahead in life total, but if I keep making these silly mistakes, it's going to go downhill. They get to shield up. Just netting more MP here to do a bigger play, but I decided just to do that so that we could just follow it up with another unit. Yeah, just using Hadoken. This time, yes, that their unit was injured. However, it was still 4/4, right? So it was still a pretty beefy unit on the board compared to my 2/6s and all that.
No, I can't. I can't let it end here.
You know, they're at 5, so basically the next hit or so will do the trick. Getting to flip this, which is great because that it kind of trades to make this very weak. There, yet again, I'm kind of making these silly mistakes there. I wish I just played the lady, because they had a full board, and I had a lot of MP where, like, sure, Chill Penguin's good, but I'm not getting a shield on it right away or anything, you know, something has to die, where lady could have just, like, wiped their board or done severe damage.
All preparations complete.
Right, and, like, yet again, I didn't have any board slots empty, so I couldn't shield up the penguin. So yet again, just this very... bad play, right? I was going to say odd play, but no, it's just pretty poor. But, yet again, the tempo was always in our advantage, even with the suboptimal plays that we got there, but definitely looking back, it's a little yikes. So, since I won with Ryu, I could not play Ryu again for this match, so I went with Chun-Li because, one, I think Yeon-Li is just a very good deck, and I thought that Izzy maybe would run back Jill, and it did happen that way, and I do like the Jill versus Chun-Li matchup in Chun-Li's favor, so that's good. We only have one MP ramp unit in Feline off the bat, which is not great, but hey, we'll take it. And obviously them getting a detonation off the Hellbat is very good because detonation more or less kills everything. And yeah, again, we just do this to trade. Yes, they could do their detonation, but that's okay. Maybe we should have just done something a little bit smaller like the 3 MP or even 4 MP. But I think that's fine, especially then we get an Iris, so that's fantastic. Because, yet again, Iris in the top lane will kill the Hellbat, as well as just net us so much MP quite fast. Getting Diablos is awesome, because now we have just this big threat that will not die to one detonation, and since it's a 212 right off the bat. Yet again, we just, Iris was pretty weak, so we just wanted to, pump up the Diablos, even though Diablos didn't grow at all, since the growth is 5, and this is only 3. But that's fine, and soon we'll get the Yawn ramp. Yeah, again, you saw me kind of just do the Yawn hero power right away, because there is not really seal effects that the red opponent can really be playing right now. Halt from the Blizzard, putting in work, just making this Neon Tiger hit this Diablos a little bit more. Now Diablos is becoming a big boy. Yet again, we could have played like maybe the leader or something like that, but just kind of getting a layer out, it seems pretty good because then we can just ascend over it with something else. Nash is a problem, but they do not have their anti-body activation on deck at all, which is really good because if they could have used their anti-body activation, that would have traded with the Rainy, maybe even let the Nash live for a little bit. But yet again, you saw the Diablos just did so much work, and it was just fantastic.
No, I can't. I can't let it end here.
So right here, I decide to do the little dino because then it gets rid of that shield, so that is just a 4-4. And that's fine, right? It's better than a 4-4 with, or it's a lot better for us than having them have a 4-4 with shield. Yet again, Spillover just doing so good of work, right? Like, this unit is maybe not the best unit, but in this format, I really liked ADT with Spillover, and especially with the Victory, and there's so many units running around, obviously. Victory just pumps it up more. And so we got there, because yet again, I really think Chun-Li is very favored over that matchup. So we went 2-0, that means, it is best out of 3, so that means we got round 1 over Izzy. And yet again, especially rewatching, like while I was playing the first game of that round, the Ryu versus Jill, I knew I definitely made some mistakes, but rewatching it was actually a little hard and now embarrassing because now more people get to see this because I wasn't streaming this or anything played, so I can't be like, oh, I was super distracted. So now I get to show more people my mistakes and kind of that like, oh, made mistakes, but we won, so it is what it is. But I will be doing another video kind of in this style, this fashion, for round 2 in the next couple days, so look forward to that. I hope you guys like this style of video, and hopefully there'll be more tournaments, because I really liked, building these decks for a tournament, practicing, and then kind of looking back at these matches, thinking in a tournament setting. But thank you all for watching, I'll see you all next time.